Today, we're gonna take this and turn it into this. Let me show you how I did it. All right, so one thing that I do a lot more in the wintertime than I do in the summertime is fun modifications. It's my time to really mod. I can't play as much because it's cold and rainy, especially today, rainy and cold. But yeah, winter's in the north or Midwest here, I guess, in Indiana. Not as nice as it is in the south in the US. So we're gonna do a little mod today. We're over the next couple days. We'll see how long it takes. But I was able to grab this Unicorn and a pretty cool kit that comes with it, or not, well, came with it for my purchase anyways. This I got off of Black Raisins, first time purchasing from them. They have some cool stuff on their site. It's been something I've looked at for a while. This was like an anniversary sale, so I got a really good deal on this kit with the blaster. That's why I went ahead and got another blaster as well. And it will allow me to have two different setups for the blaster without having to, undo the mod. So the sale was pretty darn good. The shipping, not so great. Shipping from them to the United States is not fun, but that pretty much goes from any place that you're buying from, in China or Malaysia or Singapore or anything. So anyways, let's go ahead and get into this guy. If you are not familiar with this blaster, definitely check out my review. It is an awesome blaster. You can get them at a lot of different Nerf retailers. Out of Dart sells them. They're around $100 normally. If you get them from China though, or from overseas, they come with a different plunger tube. And this one has a big old slot in it, which is not ideal. And the kit that I got actually has the normal version that you would get if you bought this in the US. Now, if you're looking for super low FPS, this may be a good option actually. I'm not sure what kind of FPS. I'm guessing around 100 or so with this slot. I think mine was averaging, 130 to 150 with the setups, depending on the spring and whatnot. We're gonna do some fun things with this though. I'm looking to get a little more performance than that out of it. So we'll see what this has in store for us. I'm pretty excited about this one, but yeah, definitely check this blaster out if you're not familiar with it. And then in my review will be down in the description box, and I'll have a link of it above here for you to check that out. Let's go ahead and get all the bits out and I'll kind of explain what I'm doing. Okay, so I got everything laid out here. We have the important parts of the blaster, and then I have the kit that I got with the blaster purchase, and I actually purchased a bearing scarf from Black Raisin as well. Then I got some 3D printed parts, and I found these files on Thingiverse. It's a full top rail that will replace like the half top rail thing, so that should be interesting. Then we have a buffer tube stock, which is pretty exciting, that actually works. It only works with this kit, unfortunately, but this just slides over this metal part, and this is what will allow us to use longer springs, but I'll get into that in a second. But yeah, this is pretty cool, a little buffer tube. And this part works with the rail, and then this replaces this piece right here and allows you to use threaded barrels. Now, I'm not sure how well this is gonna work because this threads on just fine. It uses threaded barrels from a Harrier, so any Harrier or Seagull barrels should work fine. But I'm not sure exactly how well that's gonna work in this blaster because I know they use a recess part here, or in the barrel, to allow it to use, I assume it's just for the bearing purposes, but if it's thinner, then I'm not sure how well it's gonna work with that barrel. It may scratch it or it may not work at all. I really don't know. But I have a longer barrel that I purchased from Out of Darts. This did not come with this kit, which I thought was kind of strange, since you have a more powerful upgrade kit that it doesn't come with a barrel or anything, but mine did not. But it does obviously come with that metal part and this that goes on the back here to allow you to use longer springs, and it comes with two of them, one lower powered, one higher powered. They're the same length. They look like They just, one of the gauge wires is just a little thicker than the other one. So this is a little thinner, this is a little thicker. So we'll try out both of those once we get this thing together. We have a metal pusher now instead of the plastic one that comes with it. This is still a skinny pusher. It has 3 O-rings instead of 2, so it should give you a better seal. It has a pad on the back here. I don't believe this one is padded. It has an O-ring pad on it, but that's the only padding on that. This one has a nice cushion pad there, which is sweet. Then we have a new plunger with a rod this time that'll kind of help the longer spring out. So that's pretty cool. And then obviously we have the plunger tube, which replaces that, which is basically the one you would get if you bought this in the US. From what I can tell, it just doesn't have the slot, but I'm assuming it's the same diameter. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Let's go ahead and remove all these parts, because I'm also planning on doing a dye job to this, because this is nylon, so it should take dye really well, and I've never dyed anything before, and I thought this would be a fun time to try that out. So I'm looking forward to trying to see how that works. It'll be an experiment. So yeah, we'll have a little fun with this guy. Let's go ahead and remove all these bits. That seems like it should work just fine. So I really don't understand what the need is for this. Yeah, I don't know really why they decided they needed this recess. I guess just so it doesn't scratch the barrels, but obviously it still scratched this barrel when I put it in, when I use this in the other blaster, and you don't ever see that part. So this just seems like an unnecessary expense to me, but that's what they decided to go with. Maybe it makes the spring work better, I don't know, but I don't think so. So we're gonna try the threaded barrel. This may be too long of a barrel, and that's the one thing about the Harrier barrels. It's like this length or the one that comes stock with the Seagull, which is quite a bit shorter, and there's really no in between. So I'm hoping that they come out with one that's at least one that's in between those two sizes. If not, I may scrap this one and cut it down, because I feel like this is gonna be a little too long. This one probably would work well though. So this is probably like a good in-between length. So I could use this one too. So, but it'd be nice to be able to swap out barrels, you know, and test easier than having to pull this whole thing apart, obviously, which is what you have to do to change out a barrel with this system, because this is glued in there, and that's just the way it is. At least on the ones I've gotten, they're glued in. The person that made this also makes some that are not threaded, so you could put barrels in similar to this, but I would assume you'd have to glue them in to keep them in there. I don't know, maybe they're friction fit good enough that you don't have to, but, and he does have some different types, so you could try it that way, but I don't know if I'd want to chance that or not. I mean, maybe, but something to try out if you're interested. But we'll go ahead and start with this one and see how it does. I really love this mat, and it has a little place to kind of hold small screws and stuff. It has a little magnet part, but just little trays, and it's really nice. Highly recommend looking into something like this. I mean, I used to just use a towel, but this is much, much nicer, and they're not that expensive. I think I just got one on sale for like 14 bucks. So I'll put a link down in the description box if you're interested in one of these mats right here. So we'll go ahead and grab something and knock these pins out, and hopefully we can get to dyeing. All right, I got all the pins out. I realized that it's much easier to push them out if you push them out from this side rather than the other way, because the knurled in, at least on my blaster, I'm assuming they're all the same, was inserted this way. So once you get past that part, it comes right out pretty easy. I like to use a nail that's just got the end cut off and filed down so it's not too sharp, and then you can just pound them out if you need to. It was pretty easy. You might even be able to push them out with something if you have something small enough. Sometimes I can do that with these, but this was a little too wide. But go ahead and remove these parts. They should just come off, I assume now. All these parts are metal, pretty much. And this whole internal piece is metal. So it's a really nice blaster, you guys. It's really well made. Oh, we missed one pin. That one's smaller. This could be an issue. Maybe I can get it out with this. Maybe I can just pull this one out. This one seems loose. There we go. That one's a little smaller. That gets your mag release out. I think we're ready to do some dyeing. Okay, so I shook the RIT Indigo all-purpose dye that I'm using for this project, and I placed the blaster in an empty tub that you don't care about because it will have dye in it. Boiled water, and then I poured it over the blaster and then poured in the dye, measuring to make sure I'm putting 2 ounces in. So that's why I have the scale there. And I shook it up, making sure it kind of is consistent throughout the tub, and I continued to do that throughout the 30 minutes that it sat in the tub. So we just wait here. I turned it a little bit to make sure that, you know, all sides were getting done evenly. I'm not sure if that's necessary, but we take it out here and rinse it off in a clean, just cool water. And I just left it in there for a little bit and then took it out and dried it off, and it was good to go. So that dyeing process went very smooth, very easy. Cannot complain with really how this turned out. I'm pretty pleased with it. I mean, there's really not too many issues. It didn't dye some of this inside part, which I'm assuming just has to do with how the mold was made, but the inside doesn't really matter. But outside, it looks really good. And I left that in there for 30 minutes, and I think that was plenty of time. I mean, you might have been able to get away with doing it less time, but I don't know how consistent it would have been, and I didn't want to chance it, so I went ahead and did 30 minutes. I mean, you could probably have left it in there even longer. It said 30 to 60. I don't, you know, that's what it says on the box. But I basically did this the same way Luke did with his, you know, dyeing guide video, and I'll definitely link that down in the description box if you want to do this yourself. Obviously, I kind of explained how I did it, but it's way more detailed with his video, so definitely look there if you're interested in dyeing some parts. Yeah, it's really cool that this is a nylon blaster, so it's super easy to dye and just dyes really well, and allowed me to do it for the first time, so that's pretty cool. I'll definitely have to do that again sometime. Hopefully I can find some other colors. I like this one a lot, but it's a little dark, and I couldn't really find a nice bright blue. I was wanting to do like half this color and half like a bright blue, but I couldn't really find a blue that was bright that I really thought I was gonna like. So just did the whole thing this, and then maybe down the road we'll find a color that I like better. But nevertheless, I'm pretty happy with how this turned out. So let's go ahead and throw all these parts together and back in and throw the kit in, and should be pretty straightforward assembly, hopefully. If I have any issues, I'll let you know. Okay, you guys, so this thing turned out awesome. I'm really happy with it. Assembly was pretty darn smooth, although there is an order of operation, so pay attention kind of how, when you're taking it apart, to put it back together in that order. Tip, put the mag release in first, then you have to put, there's a little piece, the metal piece right here, just kind of, you just set it in there, and then the whole trigger assembly goes on top of that, and you kind of have to tease in the mag release there with the spring. Also, you have to kind of put this in before and as you're putting in the trigger assembly, so you kind of just have to kind of tease all these parts in together. It kind of makes sense, especially if you're used to putting together and taking apart blasters. It's pretty straightforward. It's not that complicated, but there is an order of operation. But yeah, I'm really happy with how this turned out. The beefy spring is in this right now, and it is a bear to prime, so just keep that in mind. I think it is breaking in a little bit, but it's a little rough. The seal is perfect. Very happy with the seal. I'll go ahead and show you guys that real quick. So yeah, a little bit hard to prime, but hopefully that'll break in. It already has gotten a little easier. 100% seal now, which is an improvement over what this is stock, so that's really good. The dye job turned out pretty darn good. There's a little splotchy in areas, but I think that's just normal with dyeing. You kind of have to look at it really close to tell, but from, you know, on camera and from a distance, you really can't tell that at all. But yeah, I went with the indigo color, which is kind of a purpley blue, but it is a little dark, so this will probably be used only in indoor facilities, not out in public, because it is a little realistic. I went with the bright orange front there for that, just to make sure that everybody realizes this is a toy, but it's a little dark. Don't think I would take this to the public park, but hopefully we can find some other dyes that I like the color of. I was looking for like a lighter, brighter blue, but I really couldn't find anything that was bright enough that I liked, so went with this, and you know, I'm happy with it. But yeah, we can always change that down the road. But in the sunlight, this color looks pretty darn sweet. So let's go ahead and put some shots over the chronograph and on the range, and I'll kind of show you what this is doing right now. Probably going to do a second video though, kind of testing out the kit and getting the best performance out of this system and where it's right for me. Looking for about 200 FPS. So we'll see what this is doing. The barrel may be a little long, so more testing to be done. Let's go ahead and put some shots over the range. All right, get some shots on the range. Gosh, sometimes that prime is pretty okay, and then other times it's just like rough. Whoo, that's got some pop. 193. $200. It is firing though. 189. Sounds really good. I cannot see the darts. 177, that seems strange. I don't know where that dart went. 186. One more over the chronograph. 168. So yeah, I think this barrel may still be a touch long. I'm gonna have to try the shorter barrel. I think the barrel that I bought from Luke may work well, and it's probably, I don't know, it probably comes to about there or so. So that may be a good thing to test with this spring, and then we'll obviously test with the lower spring. Hopefully the prime isn't as difficult. We'll go ahead and take some shots for range, because I was shooting pretty low. It's getting pretty far out there. Definitely 100 feet, no question. You know what, guys? The prime is getting easier. I think it just takes it's gonna take a little breaking in, but it's definitely not as easy, obviously, as it was originally, but maybe that softer spring may work out a little better. But like I said, I'll probably do a separate video testing this thing out with other barrels and the other spring loads, try to find that perfect configuration. But I was looking for 200 FPS, so this is really close to that. So if I can just get that with a little lighter spring. Thanks. Yes. Hello. Jar Jar's always got something to say. Anyway, guys, thanks so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed this build video. Let me know what you think of the blaster. Leave me a like on the video. It really helps out the channel. Yeah, comment, subscribe, all the good things. Peace out, y'all.